We watched The Last Voyage of the Demeter. A crew sailing from Varna, Bulgaria, by the Black Sea to England find that they are carrying very dangerous cargo. At 119 minutes, I think it's a little long for what it sets out to be. The opening scrawl tells you straight out. This is based on the log of the Demeter from the novel Dracula by Bram Stoker. I think that hurts it overall because if it wasn't super clear what the ending would be, it would leave more up to chance. You would have a little bit more. And unfortunately, the movie does deviate pretty significantly from what the log is because the log is pretty specific about what happens specifically to the captain. Other than that, I think André Øvredal does a pretty great job with what he's got here. I will say that it's impeccably cast. Liam Cunningham, David Dastmalchian, Aisling Francois, Corey Hawkins. Everybody here really does work. Some of the characters do seem to get pushed to the side and, they're bordering on caricatures where they're just not as involved. I had a pretty decent time with this. I think everything's presented pretty well. I will say that some of the CG doesn't work for me. I do like the creature design and I like what's presented. There's a rich element here where a vampire movie is not always a Dracula movie, and while a Dracula movie is always a vampire movie, we've really changed what the definition of that is in pop culture pretty significantly. It doesn't help that I've been reading the Anita Blake books, and in those books, Anita describes vampires as something different, something monstrous. And she says outright, vampires are more than people with pointy teeth. And in her books, sometimes it's not really true. But here, it's absolutely true. There's definitely something monstrous about him, and there's something evil just lurking underneath the boards of the ship. I think it's pretty fantastic. I think he's presented in an amazing light because you can see such a rich horror element to it. The movie here has been in development hell for I don't know, it looks like 20 years. It's hard to tell. They talked about the Demeter ship miniature in 1992, so sometime after that, so I don't know how long they've been working on that, but there's an element of this that it's pretty good, and there's an element of it that it kind of seems like it falls short, not just because of the way it's presented, but sometimes it feels like we're not given a chance to really overcome what is an unreliable narrator. I would actually look back at some of the old comments and threads about the movie, and one thing that sticks out all the time is about halfway through the movie, they find the crates of dirt. The one is where we find the quote-unquote stowaway, which is fine, but a lot of the comments are like, oh, we found where the devil sleeps during the day, which would be fine, except it's super clear throughout the movie he's not sleeping there. He hasn't slept there since you discovered the first crate. At no point do we ever see him return to that. I think very early in the movie, twice, we see dirt and maggots hanging around out on the ship's surface, which is actually kind of weird. He's still dirty by the time he gets there, but a bunch of times he crawls out of something else. And maybe it should be more clear. Maybe he should more often slither out of a cupboard or a cabinet or something, but he wasn't living in the box. I promise you he wasn't in the box most of the time. A couple times he was in the box, and then he moved right along from it. More so because you watch them open this elaborate, stupid puzzle box to get it open. I don't know, I had a decent time with this. A couple times the CG just is not quite polished enough. I do like a lot of what's presented here. There are some great moments. I think the ending will be one of the things that people dither about a fair bit because it's got some interesting potential, but it does feel bordering on, hey, this is setting it up for a sequel. Even my mom turned to me, she goes, oh, are they going to make another one? I said, well, no, Mom, that's you're talking about Dracula. The movie is called Dracula, and they've done it 900 times. Or you could look for Nosferatu if you were feeling frisky, but no, there's no indicator of that. I don't think so. Although, I don't know, I kind of like this. Having recently watched the 2017 Mummy, where they were trying to do a joint universe and all the Universal monsters, this, I think, is a great presentation of a monstrous villain who is pretty much unscrutable, outright evil, and you could have other characters trying to engage him or stop him or thwart him. Ideally, not in modern times. I don't need to see it in 2025. It's not necessary. We could have them in the early 1900s, a nice period piece. There's a lot of options for that type of thing that I think would do well, but I had a good time with this. It's not a fantastic time. This for me is like a 6. I think it's got some interesting bits. It does drag. It could probably be about 30 minutes shorter, but I will admit it's delightfully cruel. It's got some mean bits. Just look, if you look up the monster, look at those teeth, because he's not just a guy with teeth with 2 pointy teeth on one side or in the middle like he is in Nosferatu. He's all of his chompers are pointy and evil and just straight up monster. He's just a straight monster, and I like that. I like that there's a monstrous bit to this that there's no overcoming. I think the presentation's pretty good. It does drag, but I had a good time. Great performances out of the main cast here. I think everybody's presented well. A little bit of the visuals could stand to be, I don't know, lightened up a little bit. It does a decent job of, there's a lot of darkness, and it's still lit, but it probably could use a little bit of something else. I don't know what, but it needs to be a little bit more. A couple of the kills could probably be a little bit better. I just don't care to see Dracula brain a guy on the deck. I want to see him do Dracula stuff. So, I don't know. I had a good time. It's funny because a lot of the comments people made about the movie when it came out are regarding things that characters say, where the stowaway mentions, oh, well, once he'd eaten everybody in Romania, he decided to move on. Well, of course she says that. She's a poor village Romany girl who lived under the castle of the shadow. Of course she thinks that. You have to, like, engage with what we're talking about and consider who's saying it. I even appreciate partway through, Liam Cunningham has a philosophy on how he thinks life is, and, you know, sometimes you have to embrace the unknown, and Corey Hawkins' character categorically says, no, this is a meat creature, it's got blood, it's got, you know, it can be killed, it bleeds, it feels fear. And I appreciate his presentation, his conviction throughout the film. I liked the juxtaposition there, even more so than I thought I would. Van Helsing in the books talks a little bit about how science can't categorize everything in the world. You can't put everything in a neat little box. So Dracula's a problem because you can't just put it in like a category and be done. It becomes this gigantic thing, and that's why he's there and all this. But I had a pretty great time with this. It's pretty fun. I will say it's a 6 for me, not quite an 8. But I think it's better than a 5. I had a decent time with this. I liked it. André Øvredal, I think, does a pretty good job. His new movie Passenger comes out this month. I'm super excited to check it out. I think that'll be cool. I love Autopsy of Jane Doe, so I think there's promise here. Good time, not a great time, but that's okay. You kids be good, and we'll catch you soon.